Hey guys, today is July 14th, 2019, and I wanted to talk about yesterday, July 13th, the day of the New York City blackout, and a couple other days, tomorrow and today, that are also high watch dates for what I believe is another hacking event. Yes, I believe this was a cyber attack. Cannot prove it, but I'm just going to show you what I see. The first thing I looked at was the foundation date of the United States Cyber Command, which was founded on June 23rd, 2009. So June 23rd, 2009. 10 years, 20 days. But as I show in my other video, I do a date reversal to find connections, which I often do when I reverse the dates. I find, but we have 9 years, 11 months, and 10 days apart. So we have a 911 connection to the foundation of U.S. Cyber Command. So that's pretty interesting there. So that's what made me think that this was likely a hacking event. So also on this date, April 21st, 2017 to 7/13, it's 116 weeks in one day. And upside down 9/11. And on April 21st, 2017, we had a power outage. Where is it? Here. We had a power outage that hit LA, New York, and San Francisco all at the same time. And that connected. And you notice it's also connects to today. 2 years, 2 months, and 23 days. So on October 21st, instead of looking for it, I'm just going to tell you, on October 21st, 2016, this was a pretty major event concerning hacking websites. So, like Facebook, Amazon, some of the most popular ones, Twitter, I believe. That was 32 months and 22 days apart. So I showed you the foundation date of the United States Cyber Command connected. I'll show you a couple other things that I've connected it to. Remember the Southwest Airlines explosion, the engine that killed one person? Well, that was on April 17th, 2017. I'm sorry, 2018. And that was 3,220 days apart from the foundation of the United States Cyber Command. And we also had the plane crash, the Amazon cargo jet. That was 116 months apart from United States Cyber Command, upside down 9/11. So those were a couple other things that I had connected. I might add some other things, but I wanted to show you the next 2 days. Actually, before I do that, I talked about my other video, a warning date for Hawaii on 7/22. I put in there tsunami, a volcano, but it connects to the United States Cyber Command Foundation. When I switch the dates, I think it's when I switch the dates, yep. Look it, we got 9 years, 11 months, and 1 day. And I showed you that Hawaii Electric was founded on October 13th, 1891. To 722 is 6,666 weeks and 6 days. So we might not be looking at a tsunami, a volcano. Those things can cause blackouts, but so can a cyber attack. So we have the connection to the a possible hacking event, or it could be a major disaster is created in combination with a cyber attack. What I mean is, like, what's a perfect time to test it, and you could blame it on a natural disaster, you know. But I don't know. But that's just a very high watch date for Hawaii. So getting the date is one thing. Trying to figure out exactly what it will be is another. Because as I even mentioned that on my other video about gun violence, to watch for 7777, and I also said 713 as Kennedy. He was shot 20,322 days apart from 713. There was no shooting that I was aware of, but we had a blackout, and it was also connected to Columbine. But I see that often, different things that connect, and sometimes you think it's going to be one thing. Oh, then something else happens, and you're like, okay, yeah, that does connect to that, but you can't look at everything. There's so many things to look at. So, but moving to the next 2 days, today and tomorrow, we have something very interesting. Of course, you all remember the 2003 blackout. So today is 191 months apart from the 2003 blackout. And 2 years, 2 months, 23 days from the simultaneous blackout on the San Francisco, LA, and New York. But I want to say 715 is probably my highest watch date. It connects to U.S. Cyber Command when I reverse the dates. You see, it's 9 years, 11 months, 1 week, and 1 day apart. And it connects to the 2003 blackout. It's 191 months and 1 day. And it also connects to this date that I talked about before, 11/13/2016. The 13th and the 14th was the date of a supermoon, the largest since 1948. And I mentioned that I look at rare anomalies, planetary anomalies, like solar eclipses, supermoons, and it seems to connect to events. So that's also 32 months and 2 days apart. And the combination of all three makes 715 the most likely date for another event. going back to the Venezuela blackout, this supermoon was also 2 years, 3 months, and 22 days apart. Going back to the date, if you look it up, the Statue of Liberty lights went out on 3/7/17. It was 3 months and 22 days apart from the supermoon. The Vegas shooting was 322 days apart from the supermoon. You remember the limo accident, which was nationally televised. Several people were killed, but that can be caused by a hacking or cyber attack. Many cars can be controlled from computers, but that connected to the supermoon. 22 months and 23 days. So, yeah, 7:15 today and tomorrow. We don't know. What would happen. It could be another lights out scenario. It could be anything that's, I would say, likely related to hacking, especially since we got the combination of the three. There's no way to know the scale of the event, but 7:15 Mondays is what I'm looking at. There's another day that I made some connections to that I'm looking at also, as I believe that the big power outage that's coming is going to be connected to that supermoon or this date. This date I mentioned before in another video, but it's the date. As I look at the days movies come out, books are written, but Ted Koppel wrote this book called Lights Out. It's about a cyber attack. Interestingly, his book cover shows the whole eastern part of the U.S. out. And it seems like in the past, in 1965, we had the whole Northeast go out. In 2003, the Northeast go out. I don't remember a time in history where the whole West went out. But, but this date, it caught my attention because it also landed on a date that was a supermoon. October 26th and 27th. So, and also because why is Ted Koppel writing a book about cyber attacks? He's a news anchor. You would think it would be a cybersecurity expert. So that also caught my attention too. And I'll play a little bit of a clip where he's speaking about it.
The Chinese and the Russians. What's so frustrating about the book? Because as you point out, it's not a question of if, but when.
It's not a question of if, but when. Why does Ted Koppel know that it's going to happen 100% certainty? He's not a cybersecurity expert, but he points out in the book it's not a question of if, but when. But he's talking about the whole nation power grid going down, or at least a major part of it. I just find that interesting that I have the book. He mentions it's 100% certainty, basically. So, but
that we're not prepared. Reading your book, it was very frightening to me how little prepared we are. What scares me, Gail, is the fact that
people in government, I mean, Leon Panetta, when he was Secretary of Defense, spoke about a cyber Pearl Harbor. The president, twice in State of the Union addresses, has warned about this kind of thing happening. When you ask, however, what the government's preparations are for the public in the event that something like this were to transpire, and we would be potentially tens of millions of people without electricity for months at a time.
So are you saying they don't view it urgently?
What I'm saying is there's no plan. There are plans for hurricanes, there are plans for snowstorms, there are plans for earthquakes. There is no plan for a cyber attack that would be infinitely longer in duration and more widespread than any of those natural disasters.
You went and interviewed, you sat down with the head of Homeland Security,
I did.
Secretary Johnson. What did he say when you asked him about the plan?
The
lack of one.
He pointed up at a bunch of white binders in his office and he said, I'm sure there's a plan up there somewhere. And I said, well, don't you think it would be smart to get that plan out to the public before there is a massive break in electrical power? And he said, look, I mean, this is a relatively simple thing. You need a radio, you need a battery-powered radio.
All right. Well, that date has connected to a couple things. Remember the tsunami warning on the East Coast? That was 119 weeks apart. Do you remember the day that Trump, I'll play it. Here it is, it's right here.
Let me begin by saying that, once again, the full faith and support for America's intelligence agencies. I have a full faith in our intelligence agencies. Whoops, they just turned off the light. That must be the intelligence agencies.
So that was on 7/17/2018. This was uploaded the day after, but I looked it up. It was on 7/17/2018. The lights go out on Trump when he mentions the intelligence agencies. And that had a 322 connection to this date, 10/27, a date of Ted Koppel's book. So these are two dates that I look at for marker points. 10/27/2015 and the other supermoon of 11/13/2016. I almost guarantee when the big lights out event happens, it's going to be connected to one or both of these. And we have a connection coming up again to 7/17/2019 when I reverse the dates. 10/20. You see it's 223 weeks and 2 days, and 7/19. 223 weeks apart. You know, I don't know for sure if anything would happen at all on these days, but they are all watch days. Today, 7/15, 7/17, 7/19. There's numerous connections, so that you can't know for sure. You know, most of the connection dates, nothing happens, you know. But 7/15, as I showed you, was my highest watch date. Alright, guys. Well, I guess that's all I got. Be prepared, man. Take care, guys.